Okay, I think we're back. Hopefully it looks a little bit better. Let me know in the comment section how it looks. We had to stop the stream. My laptop was going crazy, and in the end it crashed. Luckily we're back in time to still see the end of qualifying. At the moment Don Rabico tops the table with Big T in second. We have Brands P3, Wheeze P4, Virus P5, Maggot P6, Spikes P7, Pantry P8, Mr. M P9, and Top Gun making up the top 10. Hopefully the viewers find their way to the new stream. There we go. I think some of the viewers are now finding the new stream. So Don Rabico comes back into the pits. He leads the field by quite some margin. Just 0.04 of a second is the gap for that front row. Wheeze P3, Brands P4. Those drivers coming back into the pits. Virus out on track, Andres out on track, Pantry Star, busy racetrack. So let me know there in the comment section, how does the stream look, how does it sound? Hopefully it's a lot better this time around. Rabico's still out front. He's in the pits with 5 minutes remaining. A lot of drivers in the pits. We go to Andres, and we go to him just in time. Watch him have a bit of a spin. Pantry Star returns to the pits, but he's gonna have to wait for his teammate to get parked up. And trust me, that does feel like it takes an awful long time. Venom out on circuit, currently P13, coming into the pits. And then the last man out on circuit, is he also on an in-lap? Look at that, don't see that very often in the entire field. In the pits, in a short quali session. This is Revolution, the second, should I say the only Mercedes. I just realized there isn't another Mercedes there. Revolution, the only Mercedes, 111.5, currently P14, rear of the field. Big T currently on the second row, he's coming out of the pits. 108.5, oh so close, just needs to find that a little bit more. How much more does Don Rabico have? That is the question. Big T may find an improvement, but how much more does Don Rabico have of his own? He will surely go out and defend that lap. Top Gun also out on circuit now. 4 drivers out on circuit. Revolution on his way back to the pits. And no movement yet from the provisional pole sitter. He's happy to stay in the pits for now. His nearest competitor for the time being, Big T, he's just started his quick lap. Gets lucky there with the car coming out of the pits. Just missed him. It's right on board with the McLaren. Not a lot of elevation change here at Zandvoort, but a lot of undulation. Some suggest that Sector 1 feels like a bit of a roller coaster. Big T was on a fast lap. He didn't get that one right. We all saw it. Had a bit of a spin. But he'll have to have another go. Hopefully he's got enough fuel in that car that he can just try and charge up that battery and have another go. Sometimes on these final runs, drivers really don't have anything left. Drop that fuel down to the minimum, so we'll see if Big T does have enough to get around again. This is Weeze, currently P3, not far from pole at all, just a tenth of a second. Not a lot of elevation, but a lot of undulation. The banked corner, the famous banked corner, obviously improved and made a little safer before F1's return. That corner used to be a little bit more crazy. Weeze goes into provisional pole, and will you have a look at that? Top 3 drivers, 108.5s. That's not right. Couldn't see the screen correctly. Or is it? Yes, it is. Top 3 drivers, 108.5s. Top 3 drivers within a tenth. In fact, within 800ths of a second. Brands. He's now on a quick lap of his own. You'll see those laps ahead of him. We'll be hoping for a 108.4. Jump all 3 of those cars. Big T getting pushed back into the pits. That'll be the end of his session. Just a few seconds remain. So he did not have enough fuel to get around again. Remember, these guys are pushing so hard. They're so on the edge that a lap with a third of the lap missing ERS is just not going to do it. Let's see what Brands can do. He's currently in P4. Can he move that car up the field? No, he doesn't. He takes the checkered flag, stays in P4. Virus going off circuit, so there's going to be no improvement there. Pantry Star goes over the line, stays P7. Just got Mr. Rem and Maggot remaining on circuit. Mr. Rem doesn't appear to be going quickly. This is Maggot in the Alpine. It's draining battery, so I presume he's pushing. Let's have a look what Maggot can do. He's currently just outside the top 10 and he pulls into the pits. Only one driver left out on circuit. And that's the AlphaTauri. So I think that is that for qualifying. Unfortunately, we missed the first 5 minutes of qualifying due to some errors. Hopefully now that I know what that was, it's not going to happen again. There we go, there are your official results for qualifying. Don Rabico taking provisional pole, getting a 108.4 at the end. Then Weeze P2, Big T P3, Brands taking P4. That's your first 2 rows. Then Virus, Andres, Pantry Star, Venom, Top Gun, and Mr. Rem making up the top 10. Also have Maggot just outside the top 10, P11, Spikes P12, Andre 13, Revolution 14, and Logic Well, he's going to start from the rear of the field because he didn't set a lap time. Oh goodness me. Well, you guys didn't see it in the first stream because the quality was so messed up, but I did mention rain. Unfortunately, you guys missed the intro, but I'll use it on Wednesday night, so you guys can see the intro on Wednesday night. But I did mention rain, and as I said rain, I thought maybe I shouldn't have said that. There we go. We in fact have rain. How does this affect the plans? And more importantly, the drivers will know this. I don't know this. How long is this weather going to persist? Is it going to be a full wet race from start to finish? Is this going to dry up pretty quickly? Don't really know what to expect. If any of the viewers are in contact with any of the drivers, maybe in a chat with them, let me know. 5 red lights. They're gonna go, and we're gonna go. It's an Aston Martin versus an Alfa Romeo into turn 1. Don Rabico versus Weeze. Who's going to come out on top? There's also a McLaren getting involved. That's Big T. Don't want to get messy here on lap 1. So easy for things to go wrong in this weather, especially here in turn 1. Things can get technical. For the time being, everybody's staying line astern. Don Rabico, Weeze, Big T. Brands in P4 where he started. Virus P5, Andres P6. A little further down we have Pantry Star, Logic, Venom, and Maggot making up the top 10. Top Gun, Mr. Rem, Spikes, Andre, and Revolution making up the field. Back to the front, Don Rabico still leading the way. See, there's a car falling to the back of the field, and we have a yellow flag. Hopefully that's all it will be. And we have a virtual safety car. Fortunately not a full safety car. It can be quite frustrating to get that full safety car on lap 1. It's quite a useless safety car because you're not able to throw the dice, you're not able to do any strategy changes. So luckily for these drivers, it's just a virtual safety car, and hopefully they'll be able to get underway shortly. The only unfortunate candidate is Maggot. He's not going to be able to catch up to the queue. He has to stay within that delta range. Never mind the delta range, he's going to have to come into the pits because he's got nothing left of the front wing. I think when he enters the pits, the virtual safety car will probably end. There we go, it flashed off for a second. I was about to sound clever, but it came back on. Well, those strategies are assuming we have a completely wet race. Of course, I don't know if that is the case. It would be great if that was something the game decided to add. For spectators to have some sort of weather knowledge. We'll have a look. Everyone on the inters. So not bad enough for the wet tire. Who's going to go onto the slick when it's time? Who's going to be the first car? We've seen some pretty brave drivers in the past, and we've seen sometimes it doesn't work out that well for them. Don Rabico leading. Gap less than a second, much less than a second, 1/10 of a second. In fact, the Alfa Romeo got a little bit too close. Brands, he's moved up a position, was in P4, now up into P3. Big T down a position. McLaren almost got itself up into P2 at the start. Virus P5. Not for much longer. What a pass. Logic gets through, goes up into P5, Iris P6. We have Pantry Star, Undris, Venom and Top Gun making up the top 10. Watch this car, he's on the move, seems to be enjoying the wet. Logic in the LP, now he's got a bit of clean air. Came through a few cars there pretty quickly. Now he's got a bit of a gap to catch, it's a 2-second gap. Big T up the road in the McLaren. Keep our eyes on that 2-second gap, see how quickly he can catch the back of the McLaren. No changes out front. Wee's P2, Brand's P3. Brand's fastest lap of the race. And Wee's challenging for the lead, side by side, briefly. I think there was a little bit of extra respect there in the rain. Lots of space between the cars, so not just allowing space, giving even more than needed. So far, candidate for driver of the day? Well, of course, it has to be. Started from the rear of the field, started in P15, he's up into P5. This is lap 4, it's made up 10 positions in just 4 laps. I can only call that impressive. Remember, I said we need to keep our eyes on that 2-second gap. The gap has actually extended. It's 2.8 seconds. But that's all going to count for nothing very soon, because we are under our first safety car of the evening. This won't do much for the drivers in terms of strategy changes. Everybody's on a set of intermediate tires. Everyone will have an idea of how far they can take those intermediate tires, so nobody's going to be pitting under the safety car unless someone has damage. This is good for the likes of Maggot. He's going to be able to come back into this race. Remember, we saw him going around with a broken wing, and I hope that's not a different wing, because that is still a very broken wing. I think he's come into the pits and just broken it again. Hopefully his teammate has got a few extra wings to spare. The other Alpine having a fantastic night so far. Look at that, P5. Rees leads the way from Ravico, Brands P3, Big T P4, then Logic. That's the top 5. That's going to be the order at the restart. Everybody's going to be keeping their eyes on the Alfa Romeo out front. Don't want Rees to get a jump on them. We saw an instance last night in SKR where on one of the safety car restarts, the leader got a 9/10 gap into turn 1 under similar conditions to these. We're getting another lap. Still have a few cars trying to catch up at the rear. Andre, Revolution, Venom, Mr. M, and then Maggot half a lap behind. Hopefully he's able to catch up in the next lap so we can get back underway. What will be the most important question here in the race is, how much longer does this rain last? Does it go to the end, or is it coming to an end? Guys, tell me you've got more experience in the cockpit than I do. Does it look like the raindrops have let up since the start of the race? Everything looks pretty much the same to me. Still raindrops falling, and of course still a lot of spray. Aphrodox, welcome to the stream, welcome to the chat. Unfortunately, you should be out there on circuit. Getting home late. Well, you would have missed 5 minutes of qualifying because our first attempt at a stream was terrible. And we had a fantastic qualifying session, lots of close times. Had a good start to the race, but a safety car quickly came out and neutralized it. That Alpine's still pretty far behind. I think that means we're going to have another lap. Frodox saying he loves this layout in the rain. It's really unfortunate not to see him out on circuit. Of course, Zandvoort had a long period without a Grand Prix, almost as long as South Africa. But since Max Verstappen's popularity in the Netherlands, government got behind upgrading this circuit to FIA Grade 1 status, and it's been on the calendar ever since. Of course, the home race of Max Verstappen. And if you didn't feel sorry for Nick de Vries in his short F1 career, he was fired one race before his home Grand Prix. So we never did get to see the two Dutch drivers around Zandvoort at the same time. We's getting very close to the safety car. Who brought out the safety car? Good question. I believe it was Maggot. We didn't see it on screen, but round about the same time, Maggot did fall to the bottom of the field with a broken wing. So may have just gone off track for a little too long in the wet, and that may have triggered first safety car. Weeze gets a good launch at the start. I said yesterday we had a 9/10 gap into turn 1. Today we have a 1.2 second gap into turn 1. He definitely got the jump, and look at the drivers behind. They're all going side by side. They're all getting into a bit of a tussle, and it's allowing Weeze to pull away even more. Big T up into P2, Brands P3, and Logic, he's made up another position. He's gone past, and now he's gone past Don Rabico. Don Rabico's lost a few positions. Logic up into P4. Keep your eyes on this Alpine because it's not wasting any time. Weeze needs to get on with things. Once Logic gets up into the top 3, he's going for the top step of the podium. Further back in the field, we've got Spikes in that final podium, in that final points position. Andre just outside the points. Venom P12, Revolution 13, Mr. M 14, and Maggot in P15, still giving us a full field, same field we started with. Weeze leads the way, gap is 1.5 seconds. Big T in second place, Brands P3. Had a look at the McLaren, but it was for a very short period of time and then thought better of it. Maybe in the dry, but in the wet, maybe not such a good idea. This is Logic Forget about this car. He's been coming through the field. Remember, started in P15, now up into P4. It's lap 9, and the only thing that stopped him was that safety car. Because remember, he made up 10 positions in the first 4 laps. We've just the one Ferrari here tonight. That's Andres. In P8 we have a caution. And it's almost like my commentary freezes for a second whenever I see a caution, because I'm just wondering, this is going to stay a caution. And there we go. Caution disappears. We're back underway. Thank goodness for that. Just want to go to the rear of the field, have a look at that Alpine again. Every time we've looked at it, it's had a broken wing. There we go. Maggot's got a new wing on that car. I don't know how many more Alpine have in stock. Weeze leads the way. Gap is 1.8 seconds, so gap is extending. Big T P2, Brands P3. Logic, he's stopped making up the positions for now. He's caught up to the quicker drivers. Drivers that are going to give him a little bit more of a handful, then maybe a little lower down in the order. Of course, there would have been some drivers towards the rear of the field that wouldn't have put up too much of a defense. You know this man's pace. Defending from him in the rain could cost you a lot of time, or could cost you a mistake. Logic, Brands, Big T, very close together, but the gap at the front, it continues to grow. 2.5 seconds now, the gap to Weeze. Logic will be getting frustrated because he's been coming through the field so easily, but now he's just stuck to the back of that Haas. The Haas stuck to the back of the McLaren. Those cars riding line astern, and who's going to be the first one to make a move? Further back in the field we also have some battles. Venom all over the back of the Williams, looking to get some more points. Currently in P9, wants to go up into P8. Is it going to be close enough? It's going to be brave in the wet. Surely he'll back out of it. Does he hold on? The Williams will have the inside for the next corner. Top Gun able to hold on to that. That was a brave move in the rain. Focus too much on the leaders, you miss a lot of action at the back. Andre also getting close to Mr. Rem, the two Alpha Tauris. Weeze out front, big gap, 3 seconds. But these three can't really take our eyes off them, can we? Logic, Brands. Brands got the best view. In the best case scenario for Brands, we'd see those two collide, and he'd be able to sail on through. The worst case scenario, they'd collide and he'd join them. Cars are awfully close together. Logic hasn't been able to make up any more ground. Yes, he has. He's got past Brands. He's now up into P3. Is he past Brands? No, he's not. Brands is still holding on. It's nose-to-nose stuff. He's held on to it. It's fantastic defensive driving in the wet. These guys are pushing to the limit in these conditions. It's just great to see. Brands doesn't want to give up that podium. Doesn't care who's behind him. He's holding on to it. Big T in P2. Thought he might have been able to open a bit of a gap as Brands and Logic battled, but those cars are still very close together. He's just driving away into the distance. 3.2 seconds is the gap. Not sure if Logic will be aware of that gap for the lead. He'll want to get on with things. We've got our first retirement, we've got a caution, and I think that might mean, I'm not going to say it, but just be prepared. Maybe they'll cancel each other out, because earlier on we had a safety car triggered for absolutely no retirement. Still just a caution. And no sign of any safety car at the pit exit. So hopefully we can get back underway, get this caution off our screens. Logic in P4. Now where is that caution? That caution will be in sector 1. And there we go. It took a while, but finally confirmed. Safety car on lap 12, lap 13 rather, of 36. Now this will be an interesting safety car period. What will guys do? Will we see anybody coming into the pits? Obviously the first safety car was a little bit too early on in the race. May give us an indication of what track conditions hold for the future. If we see anybody coming in for intermediates, we can presume the rain is going to continue for quite some time. But will anybody make that move, or will everybody just stay out, hold on to track position? And that does not seem to be the case. Reese comes into the pits, as does Big T, as does the top 4 drivers. Where is Don Rabico? He's coming into the pits as well. Seems like the entire field is following suit. We're going to have a very busy pit lane. Wish we had a better camera angle. There we go. That's a bit of a drive to survive shot. I haven't actually seen that before. I'll see more of that. It's a very, very busy pit lane under safety car. All of the cars coming back out on a fresh set of intermediates. I said that would suggest that there's still going to be some more time in the rain, possibly till the end of the race. We don't know, we don't have that information, but I don't think they would be committing to a new set of intermediates if dry weather was around the corner. Now there would have been possibly a bit of a shuffle in certain instances. Remember, that was a very busy pit lane. Some cars may have been held and not able to release immediately. Some teammates would have been too close together and double stacked. And obviously in those cases, some of the cars would have been impeded to come back out of the pits, not in the same position they went into the pits. So we may see a few cars out of position. Mr. Rem, the only driver in the field, choosing not to pit. So he's out front in the Alpha Tauri. He's going to be in charge of the restart. He's got 9 lap old intermediates. By the end of this safety car they'll be older than that. Still a lot of spray on the circuit. And this is making me question the weather. Why would he stay out there on the intermediate? Is he expecting dry weather? The rest of the field doesn't appear to agree. This would definitely make sense if dry weather was 3 or 4 laps away. With everybody jumping onto the intermediate, I just don't think that is the case. Busy stream tonight. Even though we had a bit of a shocking start. So I want to thank everybody who's come on the stream. If you've just joined us, this is our second safety car of the evening. A very wet Zandvoort circuit. Of course, if you are watching, you haven't left a like, leave a like on the video if you're enjoying it. If you're enjoying the stream, If you're happy with the quality of the stream, if it's better than the first time round, just leave a like on the video, let me know. And of course, thanks for watching. Safety car is in this lap. And that means we're going to be underway shortly. Now Mr. Rem is in a difficult position because he's going to lead this restart. He's got 10 lap old intermediates. Everybody else is going to have a fresh set of intermediates, and when I say everybody, I mean the entire field. So just Mr. Rem on the older tyres, same compound. Surely Wheeze isn't going to waste too much time, doesn't want to get stuck behind the AlphaTauri. He gets past the AlphaTauri immediately around the outside before turn 1. And the McLaren, where's the McLaren come from? McLaren went deep on the inside, cut everybody. What a fantastic pass that was, at least from what we could see. We didn't see any contact, but the Mercedes leads the way. Brands P2, Logic P3, Mr. Rem P4, and Don Rabico making up the top 5. We were wondering if something happened to the AlphaTauri. Well, that should answer your question. Is he ghosting? I can't tell if he's ghosting or if that's just spray from the rain. I think that's just spray from the rain. Is there damage on the Alfa Romeo? Not that I can tell. And that does not suggest there is damage, because Wheeze just makes up a position, goes up into P4. Logic, he's in P3. We'll be happy with that safety car, because Wheeze was starting to get away. That would have just cancelled out that 3.5 second gap he had built up. And now he's actually got Wheeze behind him. Logic up onto the podium. Big T, fastest lap of the race. He leads the way. 17 of 36, still raindrops falling. Mr. Rem falling down the field. Remember, he was leading the way at the restart not so long ago. Continues to fall down the field, and it was pretty predictable. We saw him. He was the only driver in the field not to make a pit stop for intermediates under the safety car. So he's on the old inters, and he's actually fallen right to the rear of the field. Doesn't appear to be any visible damage on the car. So maybe that is just coming down to the tyres. Thanks, Sean. Just Sean Dented Skull just explaining that Mr. M had done a pit stop earlier on, so he was slightly out of sync with the rest. We've had fresher tyres. Obviously pit under the first safety car. Big T leads the way. The gap is not a big one, just 0.6 of a second. Brand's in P2, but he becomes the first driver in the field to pick up a penalty, so that'll be hanging over his head. Logic in P3 came through the field really quickly. Then when he got to the top 4, everything slowed down. The guys up here, a good competition. Don Rabico, another quick driver, not far behind. In the top 5. He's followed by his teammate 2 seconds down the road, Virus. Both Aston Martins up into the points. Panpistar P7, Top Gun P8. We have Venom and Spikes making up the top 10. Back at the front, gap hasn't really grown. Just half a second. Want to get confirmation on the penalty. It's just a 3-second penalty, so that's for track limits. Just imagine it's quite difficult to get track limits in the wet. You don't want to spend any time on the grass, but Brands found a way. course, if the weather does dry up, if the track does dry up, almost certain you'll see those penalties rack up very quickly throughout the field. We've seen that on many occasions. Track dries up and drivers just start using more circuit. Brands and Big T fighting for P1, and in these conditions it's fun to watch, but you know a mistake is never far away. Big T still out front. Brands staying close, as is Logic, as is Wheeze. Don Rabico not really able to make an impact on the top four for now. Pantry Star, P7. Revolution, the only Mercedes sitting outside the points. Big T on those older intermediate tyres, out of sync with everybody else. He's fallen to the rear of the field. Logic in third place. It's getting really close to the back of the horse, but he's been there for quite some time and nobody's really been able to make a move. It's these conditions. If we were in the dry, everybody would be opening up DRS, everybody would be trading places by now. But in these conditions, you always think twice. You always break that little earlier. And it's not so often you're going to see a battle of the late breakers in the rain. Because if you get it wrong, things end badly. Rabico 2.6 seconds adrift from these top four. We'd love to join this queue. Two Aston Martins. They were Lion's turn, but for how much longer? Pantry Star getting involved with Virus, and Pantry Star getting past ever so briefly. Virus back in front, it's nose to nose, wheel to wheel. And the Aston Martin holds on to P6 for now. Virus doing a fantastic job. Does not want to give up that position. What he wants to be doing is getting up the road and catching up to his teammate. Rabico is still not able to make any ground on those top four. Gap still 2.7 seconds there. As for the top four, starting to spread out. Big T and Brands, they have broken free from third and fourth. Big T and Brands in a battle of their own now, 4/10 of a second, then a second and a half down the road. Logic in a battle with Wheeze. So now we've got two DRS battles. It's not a DRS zone, but it's under a second. I guess you know what I mean. So we have an under a second battle for P1 and for P3. Where those four cars were together for such a long period, they've now been split into two groups, so we can't see all of them in one frame. This is riding on board with Louise, now riding on board with Logic, came through the field so quickly. Of course, the famous lap of Ayrton Senna. 1993, the European Grand Prix, which was held in Donington. Started the race in P4 under terribly wet conditions. Had a bad start, went down to P5. And by the end of lap 1, he led the race. Made all those overtakes in the opening lap. By the end of it, led the race and went on to win it. Big T defends from the Haas. Haas has to go to the outside. It's not really where you want to be. And that means the McLaren's able to hold on to P1 for now. For how much longer? Logic in P4 hasn't been able to make up more ground. Race going by really quickly. These guys just pitted for brand new inters. Those inters already 9 laps old. Mr. M sitting on double that. 18 laps on those intermediates. This means these intermediates can still go a lot further. Going on board. Are the raindrops less? No, there's definitely still raindrops falling. Hand goes up in the air. The Haas collides with the McLaren. The McLaren comes back at the Haas. And well, we didn't get to see the initial collision because we were on board with the Haas driver. But Big T is able to hold on to the lead, and what that has done is good news for us in the comms box, good news for you at home. It's brought the other two cars back into the battle. So whatever it was that split the cars in the first place has now been nullified. Logic just a little further back, but Big T, Brands and Wheeze very close together as they were for most of the race. Mr. Rem has come into the pits, probably to get rid of those inters. We expect him to get on another set of inters. Doesn't look like the weather is changing. It'd be surprising to see him on anything else. And he does come out on a set of intermediate tyres. Not that often on the game you see a race from start to finish in the rain. Would be a rare occurrence, at least for me in the comms box. I think it's only happened 2 or 3 times. Of course you get wet conditions, but they're usually interchangeable conditions. But a wet race from start to finish is a different challenge completely. And Brands, he is demonstrating exactly what you need to do in these conditions. Big T has fallen to P2. For how much longer? He goes up the inside. There's slight contact with the Haas, but he's going to be outside, on the outside, on the inside. It looks like the Haas is going to hold on to it. They were uncomfortably close wheel to wheel in the wet. I'm not even in the cockpit and I'm getting nervous. Fantastic driving. Now Wheeze all over the back, going left, going right. Just zigzagging behind the McLaren, making sure the McLaren knows he's there. Really difficult conditions. If that driver ahead of you makes a mistake, of course you want to get past, of course you want to capitalize on the mistake, but if you're too close in these conditions, driver in front of you makes a mistake, it's all over for you too. So now Brand still out front, gap is 0.6 of a second, so Big T has been able to hold on to the Haas. It wasn't a situation where Big T was holding up the field, because now the Haas has gotten out front and he hasn't been able to open up the gap either. These top 4 drivers just very close together over the duration of the race. We saw Wheeze and Logic briefly dropping back, but they came back into the race, came back towards the top 2 rather. And it's raining outside. So just like the race, it's raining outside, and that's unexpected. Brands leads the way, Big T P2, Wheeze P3, Logic P4. Got up to P4, got up to P5 really quickly. Took him 4 laps to get up to P5. Then immediately after the first safety car, made up a position, went up into P4, but hasn't been able to make more progress after that. Top 3 have remained the same, they've just changed order a few times. Brands, Big T and Wheeze is the current order. All three of those drivers have led the race at some point. But at the moment, Brands is the driver leading the race. It doesn't really matter who's leading the race right now or how many laps you lead. It really comes down to who's leading on the final lap. More importantly, around the final corner. Brands now comfortably up the road. Big T must have made a mistake. Maybe he has damage on that McLaren. Let's try and have a look at the McLaren. McLaren does look fine. Maybe he lost it. Maybe there was contact. What that means is Brands has been able to clear the field. He's now a second up the road. He's P2. Big T. Luckily no damage for him. He's going to be able to still have a recovery drive. We know he's got the pace. So if there's no damage on that car, he should just be able to get on with it. Logic still in P4. He wasn't able to make a position as a result of that McLaren mistake. So Big T just losing out to Wheeze. Damage minimalized. Had 2 retirements from the 15 that started. We're down to 13 drivers, meaning 3 drivers won't be getting points tonight. Those 3 drivers at the moment are Andre Revolution and Mr. Rem. Remember that 3-second penalty. We haven't looked at it again, but there we go, just confirmation. It's still the same, it hasn't increased, but Brands does have a 3-second penalty, so keep that in mind when looking at these at this timing screen. If the checkered flag were to fall this very moment, Brands would fall off the podium, finish behind Logic. So he doesn't need only to win the race, he needs to win the race comfortably. And if the pace between these drivers remains so equal, I don't know if he's going to be able to get 3 seconds up the road. We have a caution. Hopefully it's just a caution. We don't see any stationary cars, do we? We've got an AlphaTauri going slowly towards the back. I think everybody else, there we go, caution is off our screens and we can breathe a sigh of relief. Lap 28 of 36, we're back underway from that yellow flag scare. Don Ravico has now actually made up a position on Logic. And another caution. Stop doing this to me. Guys, stay on the tarmac. Big T, P3, Wheeze, P2. We know Wheeze has pace. Can he come back at Brands? The gap 7/10 of a second. In these sort of conditions, when the driver ahead of you has a penalty, you know if you stay in that position, you're going to take the victory. Do you really risk the pass? Of course, in the dry, it's always better to make the pass on the track than to win via penalties. It's great for the bragging rights, but if you want the win, if you want the 25 points, maybe the safer option is to just follow the man around till the end. Surprisingly, he's also the only driver to have picked up a penalty, and he's only picked up one of them. So 1 penalty throughout the entire field tonight. Very impressive. Of course, that has to do with the weather as well. Guys not using the full extent of the racetrack. We have a safety car, and what a retirement it is. It's a big retirement. Brands retires from the race. He was having such a great race, but that's the end of that for the Haas driver. It means we're going back under safety car on lap 29 of 36. But, well, this ain't gonna hurt anyone. I was gonna say this is going to hurt anyone who's got a penalty, but the only driver who had a penalty was Brands. He's now out of the race, so no one in the field has any form of penalties. Wheeze is coming to the pits. A lot of the drivers coming into the pits. Don Ravico choosing to stay out, hold on to track position. He will be the new leader at the restart. These drivers coming out on fresh inters, so that is confirmation that the race is going to end on intermediates, but I have got my focus on the Alfa Romeo, and since we're under safety car, I'll give it a bit more broadcast time. The reason I'm focusing on this car is, well, see for yourself. That car is on the soft tyre. It's the only car in the field on a dry compound, and I wonder if that was planned, if that was intentional, if that was a big mix-up in the pits, pressing the wrong button on the settings. Not quite sure what happened there, or if he was just pulling the trigger, rolling the dice, trying something crazy. I don't know if it's going to work out for him. We're not going to really know because these drivers aren't at full tilt. They're obviously catching up to the safety car. But once the race gets underway, Pantry Star has to put that Alfa Romeo through its paces. It will quickly become evident if those tyres are suited to these conditions, and I really don't think they are. He's going awfully slowly. Might see him peel off into the pits, and he does. So Pantry Star came into the pits just when everybody else did. But he went onto the soft compound. Surprised us all. Maybe a mistake in the pits, maybe a roll of the dice. Whatever the case was, came in the very next lap, got rid of them. He's going to get on the inters and probably join at the back of the field. Now have a late safety car. It's going to leave us with a very short sprint to the end of the race. Got two drivers out on track on older intermediates, Don Rabico and Spike's 17 lap old intermediates. Those would have been changed under the previous safety car, the second safety car of the evening. The rest of the field has come in and got a new set of inters. Don Rabico would have been leading the race. Wonder if he left the circuit. That's the only way you can make an overtake under safety car, but Rees is leading the race. Don Rabico P2. Remember, he's there as a result of not pitting. Everybody else around him has pit and has fresher tyres on their car. But he hasn't been in the top 3 all night. So if he's able to pull this off in a short sprint to the end, I think he'll be delighted to be on the podium. Two AlphaTauris, one just inside the points, the other just outside the points. Mr. Rem briefly led this race, don't forget. Led at the restart of the second safety car. He's down in P11 just outside the points. The other AlphaTauri on the right side of the points in P9. Andre. Of course, what this effectively does with such a short sprint to the end is it's going to bring this entire field together. That means there's going to be a lot of cars running wide, a lot of possible mistakes at the restart, a lot of chances to pick up positions if the race hasn't gone your way till now. You see, had that extra retirement of brands, which means now 3 retirements, just 12 cars remaining from the 15 that started, so just 2 cars outside of the points. And I can bet you those 2 cars are going to be doing everything they can to get into the top 10. And there's no reason why they shouldn't. It's just going to be a few laps to go at the end of this. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a 3-lap sprint. bikes. Finds himself in P5. Hasn't had a great race, but now finds himself up in the top 5 because he took the same strategy as P2 man Don Rabico. They didn't pit. We'll see the effects of that now. We'll ride on board with the Aston Martin driver currently in P2. Don Rabico is 1 second adrift from the leader already. And now Big T getting involved, getting past Don Rabico into turn 1. Doesn't want to spend any more time behind the Aston Martin. Big T up into Big 2 into P2. Well, Big T P2. Confusing stuff. Logic P3. Don Rabico P4 and Virus making up the top 5. That means we've got 2 Aston Martins up in the top 5. That's not very realistic, is it? 2 Aston Martins in the top 5. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, and who exactly? Side by side, perfect heli-cam action. Of course I can't control this heli-cam, otherwise you'd be seeing a lot more of it. The game just cut to the heli-cam at the perfect time. Logic and Big T looking to trade places. Big Logic wants to get himself up into P2. First time in the race now that he's up on the podium. Remember, got stuck in P4 for an awfully long time. But now wants to go up the field further, wants to take the next step. He's up the inside, but the McLaren's going to have the inside into the next corner, so this is going to be more wheel-to-wheel stuff. With Alpine opting out of wheel-to-wheel, just tucking in behind the McLaren for now. Looking for his next opportunity, looking for a better opportunity. Now we've got a caution, and hopefully that's all it is. Is that a Ferrari? No, it's not a Ferrari. We only have one Ferrari and he's already DNF'd. So that's an Alfa Romeo at the rear of the field. Pantry Star. Just stationary on track. That's what caused the yellow. Weeze will be out front. 3.5 seconds. He'll be happy. That wasn't a safety car. Well, it's too late in the race to have another safety car. Weeze leads the way. Big T P2. Still under pressure from Logic. Logic still looking for second place. Wants to take P2 away. Love to win it, but unfortunately for him he'd have to get past the McLaren and make up an incredible amount of time, and that's just not going to happen because at the moment he's just doing everything he needs to do and he's doing it correctly. Further back, Venom also getting close. 2 Aston Martins getting very close together in the rain. This can be quite uncomfortable. Getting racy with your teammate in this weather, especially this late on in the race. Last thing you want to do is collide. So you just got to sort of accept the position, play the team game, what's best for the team. I think we'll see those Aston Martins cross the line in that order. Don Rabico followed by Virus, but out front he's just made it look easy in the final stint of the race. Has pulled up down the road 3.7 seconds. Just fantastic driving. Big T has done a great job too. Logic's been all over the back of that McLaren. Logic's wanted P2 for the longest time. He's had to defend. He's had to defend hard. We know this man can make overtakes. We saw him make 10 overtakes in just 4 laps at the start of the race. But he hasn't been able to get past Big T. Big T doing a fantastic defensive job. Remember, it is a little bit easier to defend in the wet. If you're a good defensive driver and you stick to your racing lines, you can really make it difficult for the driver behind. No use of DRS. Of course you do have battery available, but if you run out of that, you've really got nothing left. Now side by side, up the inside, leaving it late. Logic from nowhere. Didn't expect him to do that. That was a brave move in the wet. Very brave move in the wet. Big T gets a 3-second penalty for track limits. That's going to hurt him at the end of the race. It won't hurt him because Don Rabico is 4 seconds down the road. But what that does confirm is that Logic will take P2. Where is your leader? Should be entering into the final corner. That's where he is. He's in the final corner. He's at the exit of the final corner. And Alfa Romeo wheeze P1. Nicely done. Logic over the line in P2. Big T P3. Regardless of that penalty, he'll be able to hold on to P3 because Don Rabico is 4 seconds down the road. Virus does come in just behind his teammate. Those Aston Martins didn't do any trading of places late in the race. And then Venom, Top Gun, Andre, Mr. Rem, Spikes, Revolution, Pantry Star, everybody over the line. As a result of that late safety car, everyone was close together. Logic, driver of the day, and who else? Started in P15, don't forget. Finished in P2. But your winner today may not have had driver of the day, but he does have fastest lap, which means he's going to take the win and the fastest lap. 26 points on the night. Logic P2 after quite the drive. Then Big T, he gets that podium. Even though he got a penalty, he was safe at the end. Don Rabico, good drive to finish up in P4, Virus P5. Then we've got Venom, Top Gun, Andre, Mr. Rem and Spikes making up the top 10. No points tonight for Revolution and Pantry Star. And then a handful of retirements in the likes of Brands, Maggot and Andres. I want to thank everybody who joined the stream. The stream was quite busy this evening, even though we had a shocking start to the stream. So thank you for everybody who came back to look for the stream and everybody who joined us till the very end. Comment section was a little quiet, but that means the racing was good and everyone was watching. So thank you all. Thanks for joining. Hopefully this will be the end of our streaming issues. I did a setting change and everything seems to have worked very nicely second time round. So I will be back, NFR will be back, and SAFRL will be back at the same circuit on Wednesday night. We're doing it all again, different set of drivers, not exactly. I believe there were some tier 2 drivers here tonight, so they will have already had some practice for Wednesday. Thursday we have DRS, and then obviously Sunday SKR. I hope to see you for all of them. If not, I'll see you when I see you, and thanks for joining. Till then, if you haven't left a like, leave a like, and of course subscribe. Cheers.